We're expecting more colleagues to join in. Let's just give it about 2 minutes because I see quite a number of people are logging in.
Professor Omaswa has logged in. Good afternoon, Francis.
Good afternoon, Stephen.
Thanks for joining. Come and keep me company. Now I feel protected.
Well, I'm looking forward and just going to take in what is being said and comment as appropriate, if at all.
You're most welcome, Professor. We're honored to have you on the call as well.
Thank you, Pearl.
Colleagues, thank you very much for reaching out. I see we are gaining the numbers. Kindly make that final call, that final WhatsApp. Check on your friends. Ensure that they don't miss out this very interesting and life-changing webinar. We'll be starting at 5 minutes past 5. So you still have a few minutes to call up your friend, your colleague, your sister, your brother.
While Francis is protecting me on the right-hand side, my daughter is protecting me on the left-hand side. Miriam Lwanga is also online.
Yes, I am. Hi, Dad. How are you? Hey, Paul. Nice to see you.
I'm well.
Hi, Miriam. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
At this point, I feel like being a Lwanga as well.
You're more than welcome.
And my wife is also online. So
wow, that's good.
My wife,
You're most welcome, Mrs. Lwanga, and we're delighted to have you and very honored to have you on the call as well. And thank you for supporting.
Not only that, I've got a daughter in Canada who is online also. So
wow, amazing.
I'm in good company.
You are surely in good company, very well protected. I can see we're going to have an amazing session. I know if you say something that's off, you'll have people to put you back on the line, We also have a friend, Miriam Ranga. George, you're a friend to all of us. Yes, so we'll be starting in the next 1 minute. So you still have a minute to call up that friend, that colleague, that sister, that brother, so that we don't leave them out.
Shiva, thanks for joining in. How is Canada? How is the heat in Canada?
It's better than before. Hello, Uncle. It's better. You're welcome.
How was the Kurubari?
Bali bulungi, Uncle.
Glad to hear that. There's Victor Paul as well.
Good morning, Uncle. How are you? Good morning from Canada.
Well. Thanks for joining in. I hope the family there's no more members of the family than my hosts.
Yeah, but the support is really needed as well. Mr. Lwanga's family, you're almost welcome. Thank you for joining in and thank you for supporting Mr. Lwanga in today's webinar. Wow, I think we have quorum. I think we can now officially start today's webinar. Once again, good evening, good afternoon, good morning from wherever you are attending this webinar from. You're almost welcome. Thank you for logging in. Thank you for sparing time. And thank you for responding to the call. We've been running the poster for about a week or so. So for us to have such quorum with the time we've been running the poster, we really appreciate you logging in, you giving this time, and for joining in to support Mr. Lwanga, who will be our guest speaker today. My name is Pearl Kobsinje. I will be your moderator today, and this is a 1-hour webinar session. We'll have some few remarks at the beginning. We'll have a guest speaker saying something to us. We'll have a close friend to the guest speaker also sharing a few nuggets or a few, there's something we've really prepared for you that is that interesting. So watch out for those who didn't log in way earlier. We have a special guest as well who will be sharing with us. And then we'll take in a few questions and answers and we'll sign out. So this is an 1-hour webinar. Thank you for logging in. Today's webinar is titled Crossroads and New Paths. And this is one of the many webinar series that the African Society for Social and Behavior Change has been organizing. We have quarterly webinar series, so make sure that you're always on the lookout. We have our WhatsApp platform, The Next Big Thing, where we usually post updates about the African Society for Social and Behavior Change. So we usually have quarterly webinar series where we share, where we come together to learn, to empower each other, to hold each other's hand as a SPC fraternity. And this is one of them today. I talked about the African Society for Social and Behavior Change. For those who are new to it, we have a website. Just type in African Society for Social and Behavior Change and scroll through and visit our website and also register as a member of the society. So the society has a board as well as a secretariat, and we have 15 country chapters that have subscribed to the society. Specifically for the Ugandan chapter, we have an interim board, and we are currently in the process of developing our strategic plan. Some of you on the Next Big Thing platform may have seen a link that was going around where we were collecting your views, your thoughts on what you want to see in the next strategic plan for the Ugandan chapter of the African Society for Social and Behavior Change. For those who have not had an opportunity to share their thoughts, to share their views, and to also just get acquainted to the society, there's a link that will be posted in the chat. And kindly spare some few minutes. It's a very short form. Kindly spare some few minutes to fill out that form so that we can pick your views, your comments, your thoughts, so that we are able to capture them as we develop the Uganda chapter strategic plan. For those who have been able to fill out the form, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for taking time to fill out that form. And for those who haven't, I've posted the link in the chat. Kindly spare a few minutes to share your thoughts. And these thoughts will, like I earlier mentioned, inform the development of the Uganda chapter strategic plan. Moving forward, we are logged on today for our webinar, Crossroads and New Paths. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce our guest speaker today, Mr. Stephen Lwanga. Mr. Stephen Lwanga is a renowned statistician and public health expert. He contributed to the shaping of the global health through 2 decades at WHO and pioneering Uganda's AIDS response as founding director of the Uganda AIDS Commission. His seminal work on sample size remains a key resource in global health research. He is a leader, an educator, an advisor, and his legacy continues in biostatistics, policy, and the strengthening of health systems worldwide. Even in retirement, he continues to make a contribution, he continues to inspire people, and he's written a number of books. And we will be talking about some of his books, including Fork in the Road and The View Around the Bend. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together, let's press that emoji button, and let's welcome Mr. Stephen Lwanga.
Well, thank you very much, Perry, for that introduction, flattering introduction. And thank you for inviting me to come and share my views with your members. I've got to come up front and say I'm not a social scientist in any way. And the views I want to share with you are merely an expression, what I call the rumblings of an old man, sharing views with people who are ready to listen to him. to listen to him. And that's really what it is. And when we were talking yesterday, we came to an understanding, agreement that, yes, let me share my views on decision making. I know that people in SBC are going through a rough time right now with the closure of funding sources to a number of organizations which they've been working in. And they are at the fork in the road of their life's journey, trying to see what to do next. So that's really what I'm going to be to focus on. Looking at your website, I felt comfortable as a Rotarian with your Make Love to Uganda campaign, because that's essentially what we are doing in Rotary, making love to the people in Uganda, helping them, and looking at the environment, planting trees, giving water to people, trying to fight diseases with the communities. And my colleague, Professor Francis Omaswa, I'm sure he will endorse what I am saying. So let's turn on to the things I'm going to say. As I said, going to focus on decision-making on when you are standing at the fork in the road in your life's journey, and make decisions whether to go left, to go right, or to go forward, or to take this job or that. And there are many times in our lives when we are faced with decisions, and I'm not speaking about simple decisions of whether to eat cassava today or to eat rice, no. But I refer to decisions where the choices made will alter the course of our lives. And some are quite significant forks in the road of life, resulting in momentous decisions. Each choice comes with its own consequences, and it is a daunting place to be in. My book, Fork in the Road, this is the book. I'm not advertising the book. I'm just showing it to you. I'm not asking you to go and buy it. I'm just saying, this is the book. You can borrow it from somebody who has it and read it. The important thing is to read it in any way you can get it. If you buy it, well and good. But if you borrow it, that's just as well. So my book, Fork in the Road, Creating a Future of Value Starting from Where You Are, was inspired by my grandfather's greatest Crossroads event. He chose saving his newly orphaned baby and leave the burial of his wife to his friends. That baby was my father. So that choice called for prompt action. There was no procrastination. And it is because of that choice that I am. That event, when I had it, really nagged me all my life, until when I got the chance, I put it down, and for the rest of people to know what it takes to make decisions in life. I have been in that place, the place not of burying my wife. My wife is very much alive, but in the situation of making in my life, about life and myself. I have found there are 4 main considerations for anyone who reaches that point of making a decision. And these are the ones I'm going to elaborate. One is procrastination as a life paralysis. 2, that there are no wrong choices. And 3, that every road you choose has its ups and downs. And lastly, to urge all of you to go boldly forward and not to look back. So let's look at procrastination. Procrastination occurs when you put off something that needs attention until a later date. It is a word that derives from Latin words literally meaning forward and tomorrow. When you procrastinate, the intention is not to forego doing what needs doing. It is the promise to yourself, that you will move forward tomorrow. What happens, unfortunately, is that tomorrow becomes the following day, and then the day after that, until a month or even a year has passed, and you have not moved forward at all due to your procrastination. There are times when procrastination, it's a difficult word to keep pronouncing, but I'll continue. There are many times when procrastination is not intentional. You may be distracted by something else, and then involved with that, losing the time you had allocated for the work you wanted to do, which then is not done. The same happens when you are faced with life decisions as you stand at the fork in the road of your life. There's no place for them to sign. Are you sure? I will not deny it. It is a daunting moment when you realize you have to make a life-changing decision. However, if you do not make a decision, you will fall into life paralysis, leading to a situation where your life stagnates. We, as humans, you and me and everybody else, are meant to change, to flow, and to evolve as we learn and grow. When we are stuck in a life paralysis, this development and evolution stops. Now, a personal experience. As I said, I want to illustrate what I'm talking about with my own life. A personal experience we had was in 1977, when probably the majority of people listening to me were not born. I realized I had to decide whether to move my family out of Uganda or suffer the consequences of what was going on in the country. It was scary and daunting. Indeed, a decision I wished I did not have to make. My wife, we loved our home. We had a good job, we had good jobs, and we as a family were happy in Uganda. My heart wanted to stay in my home country. However, outside circumstances were affecting our lives to the point where I found myself at a fork in my life's road, requiring a decision to be made. My wife was still, thank God, alive because she was called Lwanga and not Tivengere, because that name was anathema to the system at the time. So her relatives, her parents, her relatives had all had to flee the country. Her near cousins had also to go. So time came when we were virtually the only people left. She was the only person left in Uganda because of me. And her mother was telling her, come, leave him and come, not come to save your life. That's what I said. I was at a critical fork in the road of my life to make a decision. On one side of the coin was the fact that Uganda was our home. It was where we lived, where we worked and socialized. The thought of leaving our friends and lives and moving to a foreign country where we would have to establish our lives from scratch gave me pause to consider the consequences. On the other side of the coin was the fact that it was no longer safe for us to be in the country. A decision had to be made, and it had to be made quickly. There was no time to procrastinate any further. There was little time for procrastination, but there were many nights when I lay awake looking at the problem from all angles, as is my way. I'm a reflective person. The thought that came to me during those long nights was actually that there was only one answer. take the fork that led my family and myself to safety. Once I had made that decision, I felt relieved and could start putting things in place to move us onto the road we had chosen to take. When you push past the paralysis of indecision, you will, thankfully, find everything moves at a high speed. It is as if once a decision has been made, life pushes you forward so you don't change your mind. Leaving Uganda was not a decision I regret. Yes, I missed my home country, but the benefit of knowing my family was safe far outweighed that. Watching what was happening in the country from the safety of our new home country confirmed my belief that I had made the right decision. I have used this story as an example. However, there are times when the decisions one has to make, or the choices one has to make at forks in the road, are not life or death decisions. Most of the decisions we make every day are not life and death decisions, and they will often be less dramatic. Perhaps you are unhappy in your job. Another simple example. You are not badly treated, but you are not feeling fulfilled doing your work. The branches of your fork in the road are, do you stay with the job you know and are used to, or do you find another one that may or may not be better or more fulfilling? Many times, the choice comes down to two options. Do I stay with what I am currently doing, or where I am, that's the comfort zone, or do I take the fork that leads me to the unknown? My answer is only you can decide that. However, my experiences in life have shown me that taking the fork into the unknown has taught me much more than staying on the well-worn road. Another example. When I retired from the World Health Organization and returned home, I was recruited by an American non-government organization to head a component of a project they were going to run. The NGO was managing several projects in the country. This project component was related to an area I had worked on and published about. It was an exciting prospect, and I enjoyed the work for 5 years. The NGO was very happy with my performance and gave me leadership of the organization in Uganda after 3 years with them. Sometime in my 6th year with the NGO, the organization's management made decisions affecting a couple of the project's senior members, my colleagues here, in response to project management issue decisions, which I felt were lopsided. As the resident head of the organization and a senior member of the project, I had to decide whether to stay in the comfort zone with the NGO or follow my conscience and leave. I was at a fork in the road of my professional employment. I agonized over what decision to take until I realized that staying in the comfort zone and remaining with the NGO with its very good pay and conditions of work responsibilities in the country was not an option I could live with, because I had lost faith in the top leadership. I resigned and was extremely relieved I had finally made the decision. I moved on to spend time with my Rotary Club as president and other subsequent leadership positions, as well as venturing in farming. The two things which I'm still doing. If life is about learning, growing, and experiencing as much of life as we can, staying in a dead-end job or foregoing a new opportunity that presents itself to you is hostile to your treasured life. Now, this brings me to the next point, that there are no worthless choices. Every path you take has the potential to teach you something important. Sometimes the lesson is just to keep going and have faith everything is going to work out. Sometimes it is to show you that you are stronger than you thought you were and should trust more in your decision-making. That was my self-awareness when I took leave from WHO to come back and establish the Uganda AIDS Commission. It was a jump into the unknown, but at the end of my 2-year assignment, I realized that I had hidden talents I had not realized. Whatever choice you take when at the fork of your life's journey, walk boldly forward into the next chapter of your life. If you stop to look at at your life right now and review the parts that took you from where you were to where you are now, you will see how you are where you are now because of choices you made and continue to make. So please don't feel despondent. Be bold. Make the choice in light of the circumstances which have forced you at that fork in your life's journey. There are no worthless choices. There is always something to learn from each choice we make. If you make what turns out to be a good choice, that is a good lesson. Sorry, what turns out not to be a good choice, that is a good lesson to stop you making that choice again. So don't take it as a waste. Be thankful that you realize that it wasn't good and not do it again. Each choice leads us towards personal growth, which is why we have to push past procrastination and keep moving forward. Choices bring possibilities into our lives. Choices open doors, create new avenues, and most importantly, create opportunities that allow you to make more choices and continuously move forward. It is obviously best to have a clear plan for where you want to go and how to arrive there, but that is not always possible when one is at a fork in the road. Sometimes you just know you must make a change. In that case, go ahead and make that change and look out for new opportunities as you start moving forward. Often there are opportunities you couldn't have foreseen. For example, imagine you're walking on a winding mountain in Chisoro, where you can only see that part of the mountain in front of you. You are not going to see the view hidden by the mountain if you don't start walking. You should stay at the start of the path, thinking it could be dangerous to walk it. And yes, it may be, but taking chances is part of living. You cannot spend your life in paralysis because you are afraid of things that may never happen. You must weigh up the pros and cons of a situation, make a decision, and go forth boldly. Without courage, nothing will ever be achieved in life. You are never going to purposely make totally worthless choices. Whatever the choice brings us, teaches us something we need to know. The realization needn't be instant. It may come later in life. It may take a month, it may take a year, or even longer, but it will come eventually. There will come a moment when you realize that what you went through in the past, be it good or bad, has equipped you for what you are currently going through. That is why there are no wrong choices. The only wrong choice you can ever make is not to make a choice. And if you look at that paradoxically, a choice is still being made. Choose to be bold. Choose to try new things. Choose the road that calls you. Choose to live. Now to the third point. I said there are 4 points. The third point, that every road has its ups and downs. Every decision and choice made has a consequence. What I mean by this is that by moving forward in our lives, other areas are going to be affected and changed. There are always going to be good and not so good consequences to every choice you make. If you accept that fact, you will learn from each one and grow as a person. Every chosen road to follow during our life's journey will have challenges. The first challenge in life is to be able to correctly identify opportunities, challenges, and obstacles. If you treat each downtrend as a challenge to meet head-on and overcome, you can ride the ups with joy, and you need not fear the dips you will encounter. I suggest if you have time, Google up Mary Stevenson's poem, Footprints in the Sand. I'm sure many of you have either read it or heard of it. Look out for it for inspiration. It's called Footprints in the Sand by Mary Stevenson. There are a number of versions of it. I'm sitting here today talking to you because my grandfather made a choice and held on to the belief that he had been charged with doing what he could do to save his son. For me, that is the purest and most beautiful example of standing at a fork in the road of your life and making a choice not to give up, not to allow circumstances to paralyze you, as my grandfather would have been paralyzed by the death of his young wife, but to go forth, not certain of success. He wasn't sure the baby would survive, but to go forth anyway. But in any way, he traveled from Undeje to Namirembe to carry his newly born baby to be taken care of. It is not about avoiding challenges. It is about having faith that you have what it takes within you to conquer those challenges. Accept that there will be ups and downs and go forward confident you are equipped to deal with whatever comes your way, which is go forward boldly and don't look back. The fourth and last point. Nothing great in life is achieved by mediocrity. When you decide and choose your fork, step confidently onto the path and go forth boldly. Sometimes you must keep going, even if you are afraid or uncertain. It is not about the circumstances you find yourself in. It is about the person doing the traveling. And that person is you, not the people on the road with you. You are the one doing the walking. Believe in yourself that you are capable and able to cope with the journey you have chosen. We chose to move to another country for safety reasons, as I have said. On leaving, we had to be braver than we had ever been before as we walked through all those armed security officers at the airport. Checking in at Entebbe Airport was scary, but there was no turning back. We pretended to be calm and went through the security checks and on to the airplane that would take us to safety in another country. We did not dare look back and see if we were being watched, so as not to attract attention to ourselves. On reflection, I believe this is a good parable to relate to this point. My wife, I'm sure, relates to this. She broke out crying as soon as the plane took off because of the tension she had been living with up to that point. We did not look back, as that was our past, and we were looking forward intently towards our future. Once you have decided you cannot and should not look back, as there is no reason to do so, you are moving forward. What is behind you for a reason. It is what you have left behind. Move forward with the purpose and the confidence, knowing that what awaits you is far greater than anything you are leaving behind you. I repeat again, move forward, believing you are going to succeed. Be confident. Have faith in yourself. You have made a choice as you wanted to create change in your life. Or change only happens through action. Create the change in your life through making a change in your actions. You may be forced to make that change, but who knows? Maybe this is God-sent opportunity that you are going to make a change in your life, which may be better. Emmanuel, I think you follow me, Emmanuel Mulondo, I think you know what I'm talking about. Make a choice, start your journey, and go forth boldly. You will succeed by not letting failure be an obstacle in your life. Entertain challenges and strive to overcome them again and again, if necessary, until you succeed. Thank you.
Wow, amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you very much, Mr. Lwanga. You had me hooked. I didn't want you to stop talking. Wow, thank you so much for inspiring us. I don't know if you'd like to invite Professor Omaswa right now.
It's a pleasure. Francis, are you still there?
I am
You
there.
Yeah, Francis, please get me out of the hole I've dug myself into. And these people in this organization, they're in a difficult time where people have lost their jobs by the American withdrawal of funding. And you know what I'm talking about. But they need guidance. They need encouragement to move forward. So please, Francis, you can use your own personal example because you are virtually in the same boat with us, but you are different. So I'm not going to speak for you. Please, Francis.
Well, let me start by thanking my friend Stephen Lwanga for inviting me to take part in this activity. And from what he has just told me, that's what he told me also yesterday, that these are young people who are going through transitions in their lives, and how can we help them? I think point number one I would like to share is that believe in yourselves. That is a message which Stephen has made. I just want to emphasize it. Your life is in your hands, and you are responsible for it, for yourself, and for your close family, and maybe others who depend on you. So believe in yourself. Then number two, we hope that you have some skills. You would like to have some skills which the rest of the world is looking for, or either the rest of the world, your community, and the society is looking for from you. You have those competencies which, with your self-belief, you are able to do things well. Everything that you do, you must do it as best as you possibly can. And once you attain that credibility, then it will not be difficult for you to move from wherever you want to, away from where you are to a new place. And very many times in my own personal experience, it is not even you to look for places to go to. It is invitations that you get. Say, please come here, please come here, please come here. So those are the foundations of how one manages life. Believe in yourself, have skills, be credible, and whatever you do, do it well. And once people know that that is who you are, sooner or later, someone is going to come looking for you to help them to do things. And that is quite literally what has happened to me during my career. Most of the senior positions I have held, I have been invited to them rather than me looking for them. Sometimes you really must write an application because those are the technicalities, but it's not because you have volunteered to do so. Then the next thing is carrying your immediate family along with you. That is not always easy, not at all, not at all. I've had to make some moves which we discuss them at home, but then I know they are not ideal. For example, to my wife is an anesthesiologist and I'm a surgeon. We formed a good team together, but then sometimes there are moves which happen to me or I make which are not ideal for her. But then when you talk about it all in what happens to the entire family, one of the major things that has driven our lives is about the type of education we wanted to give our children. We started off outside Uganda, like those days which Stephen Lwanga talked about. There was a time when it was very difficult to stay here. So we ended up in the UK for 6 years. We were there. Then the children going to school in the UK were coming back home and talking about black and white and so on. And we saw children of our other colleagues who were older than ours, who basically were very angry people, racist people. So we decided that the best place for our children to grow up and become normal citizens of the world is here in Africa. So by coincidence, the Kenyan government was looking for a cardiothoracic surgeon, and they came to the UK. They sent a senior colleague there. They said, come to Kenya. And then in Kenya, after 3 years, it was clear that that is not going to be the place we were going to spend the rest of our lives. And again, a very difficult decision. And the decision is, let's go back home. Let's go back home to our roots. And Uganda, as you know, was going through a very difficult time. Amin had been overthrown, but the war was still going on in various parts of the country. So we decided to go really home, and home is in Ngora, and worked with the Association of Surgeons of East Africa to go and set up an experiment on how to deliver high-quality surgical services in a rural setting, and that setting happened to be home. And, you know, it worked well. It worked well, very also important for the children. They learned to speak the local language and to know what home is, and so on and so on. But in all those circumstances, it was our skills that were what was keeping us where we were. So I can't say that too much, that you must be marketable in one way or another, and you must believe in yourself. And then the rest of the things fall into place. Perseverance, patience, being consultative, listening, and being trustworthy. Also, I've found in my own life that having a religious component to my life has been important. We are all very frail as human beings, and a fallback position to God is very supportive. Let me stop there. If there are any questions, welcome to answer them.
Wow, thank you very, very, very much, Mr. Lwanga and Professor Omaswa, for those words of wisdom. My take home, there are no worthless choices. There are no worthless choices. I'm seeing lots of chat conversations, and I'm seeing people taking out their notes and what they have learned. And just like Mr. Lwanga mentioned, most of us here, most of the colleagues that have been in the development world have been faced with, a time in their lives where they're wondering what next after these donor cuts and funding cuts, what next? So I believe this message was very timely. We appreciate you for sharing your stories, your experiences, and getting us encouraged and inspired. Personally, I feel very inspired right now. I feel like I can take on whatever was pending, whatever I was procrastinating. Tonight, I am going to go back and believe that no choice is worthless. Whatever move I make is worthwhile. Thank you very much. We'll take on a few questions. You could raise your hand. You could write a question in the chat, or you could just unmute and ask either Mr. Lwanga or Professor Omaswa. Emmanuel and Kenneth, you will just help me check whose hand is up, just in case I miss their hand. But feel free to unmute. We'll take in 1 or 2 questions. Maybe I'll take a stab at one of the questions I had written in my notebook. Mr. Omaswa, sorry, Mr. Lwanga, I would like to know, was there ever a point in your journey where you felt like giving up, where you felt like throwing in the towel? And what did you do? What was that thing that picked you up from that place?
Do you want me to answer a question as it comes, or to?
I think you could answer as they come,
Okay.
as we give people to compose their thoughts.
I've lived a long life so far, and naturally, during these many years I've lived, there have been times when I felt despondent, worried, wondering whether I'll be able to move forward. The point of what I talked about when I had to agonize with the NGO I was working with, it was a sad situation to see people making decisions about other people's lives, professional lives, sitting so away and not on the ground and not really doing what they are supposed to do. And I wondered whether I had made the wrong decision to be associated with such an organization. But on reflection, eventually, I got the strength and woke up, as it were, and made that decision. And I know when I made that decision, we were in India on holiday with my wife. And it was extremely agonizing. But the relief when the decision was made was tremendous, was worth the agony I had gone through. So that was, I think, that was to me is the most telling point, where I was at the bottom of my professional life and almost regretting having climbed on that branch of my work.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Lwanga. I see Paulo's I see Paulo's hand up. We'll take Paulo and then Emma, and then I see Dr. Muhumza also has a question in the chat.
How are you, Uncle? This question is for Uncle. First of all, thank you so much for sharing with us today. It was very inspiring just to hear the story of, my great-grandjudge and his story of how everything came with a fork in the road. And I just think the timing of it is, even in my life with forks in the road, just like you said, you have to just make the decision and not look back. I'm actually about to start my new job right now. I'm in the parking lot, about to enter in the next 10 minutes. And I feel like it really just kind of re-emphasize the importance of just trusting your instinct, because I feel like that same instinct that's inside of me is the same that's inside of you, and the same that's inside of all of us with the Lwanga blood. And what do you feel is the importance of trusting that gut instinct and that knowing that you have to go in a certain direction? Do you feel there's a certain importance in trusting that versus kind of putting things on a scale and trying to really kind of balance the pros and cons? because I feel like, more times than not, whenever you listen to that, inside gut and you make that decision, it's almost like you're being guided divinely to make the choices that you should. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you, VP. These are my all my nephews and nieces are like children to me. He's my sister's son in Canada. Yes, decision making, you've got to trust the decision you make. Confidence, self-confidence that you're making it. There is no 100% correct decision, because as we move in our life's journeys, we are always coming to crossroads determined by the decision we've already made. And every crossroad you come to has its own bundle of controls on the decision you make. So you can't say the decision I made now will take me to the end. And where is that end? Actually, you don't know. So VP, it's a question of having trust in yourself and moving forward and be ready to face the challenges and make the necessary decisions and follow your decision you make until it brings you to another crossroad and reevaluate the circumstances. We can talk more about this, VP, as you come to crossroads in your life.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Lwanga.
If I may come, another way of saying that, I think there is something called follow your heart. If you follow your heart, you are always likely to be in the right place. Because by the time your system inside you tells you, go this way, go this way, go this way, not that way, then it has done all the analysis of cons and pros. So following your heart is a good thing. I recommend that very strongly.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you very much, Professor. Emmanuel wanted to also give a comment on what happens when you feel like throwing in the towel. Emma, over to you. Okay. We will take Dr. Muhumuza's question. Mr. Lwanga, could you share? Mr. Lwanga, please share about similarities or differences between the time you boarded the plane then and today.
The time I what?
You boarded the plane then and today. I don't know if he means the first time you boarded the plane. Are there differences or similarities you see versus today?
Well, I guess when we boarded the plane to leave Uganda in 1977 and today, that's a tall one. Nearly 50 years have gone by, and we lived many lives, and we didn't look back, and we trusted our decisions, me and my wife, or with our children. And today we continue to live a life of togetherness, and that is helping us to move through life. Our children are now grown-up people. They are leaders in their own category, their own rights, and we hope that those decisions we made then over 50 years ago are helpful to them now. It's difficult to quantify to get a very clear-cut response.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you, Mr. Lwanga. We also have a question from Dorcas. What is some advice or some steps that one can take to work on procrastination?
Dorcas is one of my favorite nieces. Yes, Dorcas, procrastination, you say?
Yeah, procrastination. What are some steps? or
Steps to
advice on working on procrastination?
self-confidence. Really, if you ask me for one word, is self-confidence. Procrastination comes because one lacks self-confidence and dithers in making decisions. But if you've got confidence in yourself, you make a decision and ready for whatever the consequences are. Not all decisions we make result into the expected, come up to expected results. But we reach that fork in the road and we factor in the mistakes which we've made on the way to that point and use them to map up a new journey forward. So really that's about all in a nutshell within 30 seconds. That's what I can say, I think, on that point.
Thank you. We'll take more hands. I see.
Is there a military way of answering that question?
Put it in a civilian way, Francis.
Maybe it is both. I think they say it's also about following your heart. Say, assemble your facts. Number one. Number two, make your decision. Number three, proceed with vigor.
And confidence.
Yes. So if you have assembled your facts, your heart has told you this is where to go, then the sooner you start going, the better.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Omaswa.
Thank you
Let's
so much.
take Basil's hand. I see Basil's hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Pearl, and I really want to appreciate the sharing from our two guests, the eminent guests. Thank you so much for those words of wisdom and grounding them in your experiences. My quick question is on your view about the statement of one making calculated risks, because as you alluded to, especially Mr. Lwanga, you did mention the issue of, when you're moving forward, of course, there are risks involved and be ready to take them. And I relate this also to procrastination, because sometimes I think it's weighing the risks that one keeps postponing certain actions that they should take. So what's your view about making calculated risks? Thank you. Over.
Well, all risks we take are calculated. You may not realize that you're working out the odds and so on for the decision you make, but they are all calculated there. And sincerely, I would say, assess the odds when you're making the decision. Because usually the decisions you have to make is not one decision, it's a series, and you've got to choose the one with the most likely returns or best returns or less risks. I take that. It does not mean that what you expect is what is going to happen. But you feel confident that at least you took time to think through it and you are ready for the consequences. And that's assessing risks, is expecting the consequences and being ready to face them and handle them as they occur. Francis, I think, is in a better position. Professor Omaswa, I think, is in a better position, really, to add on to that, because
in that money across months.
Okay.
I think it requires some technical reading.
Yeah.
Then we can.
Yeah, I think once you've decided to move, then, as I just said, you move with vigor. That is the same message I gave earlier. Whatever you do, do it well. So whatever decision you take, it has a calculated risk. By the time your system tells you, let's go this way, it has evaluated all those. But then once you've decided to go, go. And as you go, make it as good as possible. And by and large, everything works in the end.
Great.
Be confident with yourself. I think
Yeah.
self-confidence is absolutely important. It helps you to face any missteps which you may face. And may I just direct people to my website before? It is www.StephenLwanga, Stephen with a PH, StephenLwanga.com. www.stephenlwanga.com.
And we put it in the chat.
Okay.
Yes, we have one final question from Anne. She says, thank you very much. I have this question to ask. It seems your trajectories in life had to change because of certain circumstances. For example, the current Trump stop work order. Are there times when you find yourself dwelling so much on the what ifs? Like if President Trump had not been voted into power, what do you do not to waste time on the what ifs?
Francis, are you in a better position to answer that question?
Yeah, it is also called mourning over spilled milk. So once something has happened, you evaluate it and make your decision whether to cry over it. Sometimes you mourn over it, but you can't go on like that. You have to decide, this is it. I am now going to get away from this and take a new direction. Full stop. Don't spend time mourning over things which you can't change. I think there is a prayer of St. Francis praying to God to enable you to change things that you can change, to accept those you cannot change, and the grace to know the difference between the two.
Absolutely.
And once you are in that position, you get on with your life. Don't spend time mourning.
Absolutely.
I think Stephen, you said don't look back. That is it. That is the same message.
Okay, thank you very much.
Be positive and enjoy life. Life is full of fun.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lwanga. Thank you very much, Professor Omaswa, for your words of wisdom, for encouraging us, for inspiring us. Surely the 5 to 6 hour has been worthwhile. Those who've been driving home, I believe the traffic has been smooth. Those who've been listening in with their families. We also want to appreciate Mr. Lwanga's family for the support. Before we close, I would like to invite George Lukalambi to give us a vote of thanks, because this has really,
before
really
the vote of
been...
thanks, may I request that I see a lot of interesting questions in the chat box. Can you send these to me? I'll try to respond to some of these questions, which are comments and questions people have put in the chat box, and share, and you can share it with them.
Sure, I'll do that. I'll pick all of them and I'll be able to share. So over to you, George, to give a vote of thanks before we officially close the session.
Well, fellow Rotarian, Mr. Lwanga and Professor Omaswa, I think this, speaking for everybody, this has been really, really time well worth, spent, listening to your, insights and, experiences about life. And I think moments like this, in all our walks of life, in all our occupation, I think pausing and reflecting on our journeys is so important, because I think that is something that often lacks. We take all the time to, reflect on everything else, except things that are really personal to us, things that have shaped our lives. And I think this has been very, 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 very worth it. All of us, I think, who have followed the careers of both of you, I, for one, have really tremendous respect. Growing up, started out my career as a journalist. Went into, development work and work in SBC. I think all of us who are really familiar with your work, hold you in really, really tremendous regard for the contributions, that you've made. But also really most importantly, the discipline. I think anybody looking at the longevity of your careers and at this time, still, having, being so engaged and following what is going on and really sharing your time with the rest of us, at whatever stages in our career. I find that not just really inspirational, but very generous of you, offering your time, to share with us. Just to conclude, and I think to thank everybody. I think at this time of the day, having almost 70 people tuning in from different parts of the world is something that really speaks very much to the level of expectation, and I want to believe that not everybody's expectations have not only been met, but indeed exceeded. In fact, mine have been exceeded, because after a long day, this was the best day for me to wind up my day listening in to your stories. Both of you, Professor Omaswa and Mr. Lwanga. Thanks for sharing your time. Thanks for being with us, and we'll definitely be looking out to your website and continuing to follow. And then both of you have had extremely iconic careers. Anybody, for many of us, your names really ring a bell. You don't even need to provide any explanation. I think, those names really ring a very loud bell for all of us working in this space. So thank you, and I really wish that you continue, being present and being engaged in these spaces. Thank you, and thanks everybody. Good evening. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you very much, George. Just to add my voice as well, to appreciate everyone that logged in today. Have a lovely evening. Until next time.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, and Paul and Emmanuel. Thank you for the opportunity. It always helps and brightens my old heart to interact with young people on issues from my heart. And thanks, Francis, for backing me up. I respect your guidance very much, and thank you for being with me at this.
All the best to you good people. This is not the end of the world. Those American things, better days are coming. Just press on with your lives.
Sure. Thank you very much, Mr. Lwanga, and thank you very much, Professor Omaswa.